to look at, what I want us to endeavor to understand is I want us to understand the importance of a father's voice, all right? The importance of a father's voice, all right? Now, I shared with you all, definitely not last week, but week before last, I shared with you all the importance, right, of having the man in the family dynamic, of having the father, rather, in the family dynamic. And it doesn't matter, truthfully, whether it's the father, the biological father, the stepfather, the grandfather, or an uncle, as long as he is a good, solid man, and that the family can look toward, and particularly the children or whomever can look towards, it makes a major difference. And anybody who tells you that, oh, you don't need no man, girl, you don't need no man in your life, you don't need them children, don't need that, you can be their daddy, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Let me just listen. I thank God for my mother, who for a few years had to raise children on her own. Right before she married my stepfather, she was raising the children on her own. But even then, she still had a village, right? She still had my grandparents who were there for her. And, so she had a network, she had a group of people who helped her with raising her children, her son, her two daughters, right? And she never negated or took away the idea or the fact that these children indeed do need somebody in their life who can kind of pour into them, who can speak into them, who can minister to them, who they can see as a good example for themselves and their life, right? She never negated that. And so I thank God that that's one of those things that we kept, or that she kept before us, was she kept before us other, the voices and the folks who we needed to help us to be grounded and rooted and solid. All right. So that's that. But then I want us to look at this as we're in our man to man segment. I want us to go a little bit further, and I want us to look at this topic or this thought, and that is, you know, I shared with you all earlier during our morning motivation. I shared with you all. I watched a movie last night entitled After Earth with Will Smith and his son Jaden, right? And so Will Smith in this movie with his son Jaden, one of the things that Will Smith had going on was that Will Smith was with, they had landed on planet Earth, right? And while they were on planet Earth, one of the things that happened is that they had crashed, right? And only two people who survived were Will and his son in this movie. And Will's leg was broken, so he couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, but he was this big war hero. And his son had kind of failed in the Ranger Academy and, all that. And so Will had to talk his inexperienced son through a combat-like situation, a situation where he had to fight for his life, a situation where he had to survive. And for many men, and for many boys rather, in our lives, it helps to have that sort of voice in our lives of another man who can help us to navigate. And this is especially true, like I said, for boys. It helps us to have that older, more seasoned voice in our lives that helps us to navigate through life's pitfalls and ups and downs and traverses. And I love the fact that if you don't believe it, you can look in the Bible and you can see that Moses, he had a younger person who followed his footsteps, who heard his voice, right? And we all know that's Joshua, right? We look at Abram. He had his sons, and then we look at Abraham had Isaac, rather. Isaac had his sons, then which led to Jacob, right? And then we had Jacob, who had his sons, which led to Joseph. And each generation of man had another generation who they could who heard their voice, who helped them to navigate through different situations, who even when what was it, Isaac, I think it was going behind and trying to redig some of the wells that his father had dug. It was easier for him to dig those wells simply because his father had already done the work ahead of time. So if you don't believe that the male voice, the father voice, has an impact in the lives of the children, then I want you to just really take an inventory and begin to look and see that what makes a difference in life, what makes a difference in life, in particularly as we begin to think about and look at the importance of the male voice in the home. It makes a difference when you have a man who's there, who can pour into the children and say, hey, listen, this is where we are. This is what you're going through. And as a family, we're going to get past this. As a family, we're going to get through this. And as a family, I want to help you navigate the ups and the downs. I was watching, like I said, I was watching After Earth with Will Smith and his son. And one of the things that was so very important was there was a part in the movie where Will Smith, where Jaden, their comm link was broken and he couldn't communicate with his father anymore, right? But he still remembered the things his father would say. Take a knee, take inventory, assess, right? Consolidate. And every now and then when he would start to get a little bit frantic, he'd get a little bit worried. His dad could always see what he was going through. And what I love about it is that we could still hear his dad. So his dad would say, take a knee, son. And then just a minute or two, or a few seconds later, the son would take a knee because he could hear, right? His voice, his dad's voice in his head teaching him, showing him. And that's why the Bible tells us to train up a child in the way that he should go. So when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, the problem that we've had with the generations is that we haven't been there to train the generations. We haven't been there to encourage, to uplift. We haven't been there to give the guidance that is necessary for the generations. So I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. You definitely have to get to a place to where you say, okay, I want to make sure, right? I want to make sure that I'm doing what is necessary for me to do. I want to make sure that I'm doing what's necessary for me to do to make sure that the next generation is good. And the best way that I can ensure that the next generation is good, the best way that I can ensure that the next generation is solid, that the next generation is squared away, is I have to be present. Is that I have to train that generation. How can you train? How can you, teach? How can you help them through life's ups and downs, pitfalls, and everything in between if you're never present? So as we go into Father's Day, fathers, let me just encourage you. Don't ever underestimate the power of your voice. Don't ever underestimate the power of your presence in your child's life. Don't ever underestimate the value that you carry as a father, the value that you carry as a man in the life of your child. Because I'm telling you, when all other voices are just coming at them, the voice that they'll remember is the voice of their father. When the world is going crazy around them, they'll remember. I'm telling you, it is the craziest thing to me, and I can say this from experience. I remember all the times I remember the things that my dad did do, and I remember the things that he didn't do. And sometimes those things that he didn't do, the times he didn't show up, that sticks out more than the stuff that he did. All right, that and sticks out more than the times that he showed up. To this day, I'll have conversations with folks, and I'll say, "Oh yeah, my dad, he wasn't even there at such and such event. Oh, but he was there for my sister's such and such event. And it's I can remember those things, and those things still affect me. So men, don't think that what you do doesn't matter in the lives of your children. Don't think that what you do doesn't matter, or what you say doesn't matter in the lives of your children. Every word you say matters. Everything that you do matters. I still remember to this day, the first and almost only time that I remember my dad, James L. Chavis, saying to me, "You done me proud, son. You done me proud." Right? So I just want to encourage you all. I want to encourage you all to Mr. Cullen. I want to make sure that I encourage you all to make sure that you all keep those things in line, that you keep those things in mind. Everything that you say, everything that you do, everything you don't say, everything you don't do, it matters. It matters. All right? All right, friends. Well, that is our man-to-man segment. I just wanted to share that with somebody on the day. I hope that encouraged you a little bit on today. Happy Father's Day. I know we hadn't started yet, but we're getting there. So let me just say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers this weekend. All right. Here is Leek Spence, Jules Judah, and Tasha Page Lockhart right here on I Am Encouraged Radio.